Harry, everyone is the same to you." "That's not true," cried Lord Henry, pushing his back, and looking at the summer sky. "I chose my friends for their beauty and enemies for their intelligence. A man cannot be careful in choosing his enemies, of course. I hate my relations, and I hate poor people because they are ugly, stupid, and drunk. I don't agree with a word you have said, and I feel sure that you don't agree either." Lord Henry touched his pointed brown beard with his finger, and the toe of this boot with his stick. "Now, English you are, Basil. An Englishman is only interested in whether he agrees what idea, not whether it is right or wrong. But tell me one more. Mr. Dorian Gray, how often do you see him?" "Every day. I could be happy if I didn't see him every day." "How extraordinary! I thought you can't care about your art." "He is all my art to me now," said the painter, "and I know that the only work I have done since I met Dorian Gray is the best work of my life. In some strange was I personality was show me a new kind of art. He seems like a little boy, though is really more than 20. And when he is with me, I see the world differently. Basil, this is extraordinary. I must see Dorian Gray." Howard got up from the seat and walked up and down the garden. After some time he came back. "Harry," he said, "Dorian Gray is the reason for my art. You might see nothing in him. I see everything in him." "Then why won't you exhibit his portrait?" asked Lord Henry. "An artist should paint beautiful things, but he should put nothing of his own life into them. Some day I will show the world that beautiful, but for this reason the world never see my portrait of Dorian Gray. I think you are wrong, Basil, but I won't argue with you. Tell me, is Dorian Gray very fond of you?" Their painter thought of a few moments. "He likes me," he answered. After a pause, "I know he likes me. Of course, I flatter him too much and tell me things that I should not. He is usually very charming to me, and we spend thousands of wonderful hours together. But sometimes he can be horribly thoughtless and seems to enjoy cause my pain. Then I feel, Harry, that I have given my whole soul to some who uses a like flower to put it in the coat on the summer's day." "Summer days are long, Basil," said Lord Henry in a quiet voice. "Perhaps you will get bored before he will. Intelligence lives longer than beauty. One day you look at friends and you won't like his color or something, and then you will begin to think that he has behind the bloody thoughts in you. Harry, don't talk like that. As long as alive, Dorian Gray will be everything to me. You can feel what I feel. You can change too often. My dear Basil." "That is exactly why I can feel it." Lord Henry took a cigarette from this pretty silver box and lit it. Then he turned to Howard and said, "I have just remembered." "Remembered what, Henry?" "Where I heard the name of Dorian Gray." "Where was it?" asked Howard with a frown. "Don't look so angry, Basil. It was a fun aunt, Lady Agatha. She told me what she had discovered with this wonderful young man. He was going to help her work with the poor people in the East End of London, and his name is Dorian Gray." "Of course, I didn't know it was your friend. I am very glad you, Harry." "Why?" "I don't know why, but you to meet him." A servant came into the garden. "Mr. Dorian Gray is waiting in the house, sir," he said. "You must introduce me now," cried Lord Henry, laughing. The painter turned into the servant. Ask Mr. Grey to wait. Parker, I will come in a few moments. Then he looked at Lord Henry. Dorian Grey is my dearest friend, he said. He's a beautiful person. Don't spoil him. Don't try and influence him. Your influence will be bad. Take away from the one person who makes a make through artists. What silly things you say, said Lord Henry, smiling. He took Hallward by the arm and almost led him into the house. Chapter 2. Jealous of his own portrait. As they entered they saw Dorian Gray. He was sitting in the piano, with his back to them, and we are turning the page of the song music by such men. You must lend me this, Basil, he cried. I want to learn them. They are perfectly charming. First, if you sit well, you meet for me today, Dorian. Oh, I am bored to wait sitting, and I know want to portrait of myself, answered the boy, turning quickly. When I saw Lord Henry, his face went a red for a moment. I'm sorry, Basil. I didn't know you have anyone with you. This is a Lord Henry Wotton, Dorian. He is an old friend of mine. We went to Oxford together. I have just been telling him what a god sister you were, and now you have spoiled everything. You have not spoiled my pleasure in meeting you, Mr. Grey, said Lord Henry, stepping forward after his hand. My aunt has often spoken to me about you. I am afraid Lady Agatha is annoyed with me at the moment. I promised to you go to the club in Whitechapel with the last Tuesday, and I forgot all about you. I don't know what she will say to me. Lord Henry looked at him. Yes, she was essentially wonderful, handsome, with his curved red lips, honest blue eyes, and gold hair. Oh, don't worry about my aunt. You are one of her favorite people, and you are determined to waste time working for people. Lord Henry sat down on the sofa and opened his cigarette box. The painter was busy mixing colors and getting his brushes ready. Suddenly he looked at Lord Henry and said, Harry, I want to finish this picture today. Will you think I very rude of me and if you ask it to go away? Lord Henry smiled and looked at Dorian Gray. Shall I go, Mr. Gray? He asked. Oh, please don't, Lord Henry. I see that Basil is on the often difficult moods, and I hate it when it's difficult, and I want you to tell me why I should not help for people. That I will be boring, Mr. Gray, but I sincerely will not run away if you don't know want me to. It's all right now, Basil. You have often told me you like your sisters to have someone to talk to. Howard bit his lips. If that is what Dorian wants, Dorian always gets what he wants. Lord Henry picked up a nice gloves. No, I am afraid. I must go. Goodbye, Mr. Gray. Come and see me on afternoon in Curzon Street. I am nearly always at home at 5 o'clock. Basil, cried Dorian Gray. If Lord Henry Wotton goes, I want to go too. You never open your lips while you are painting, and it is horrible burning just standing here, asking him to say, all right, please stay, Harry, for Dorian and for me, said Hallward, staring his picture. It is true that I never talk when I am working, and never listen either. I must be very boring for my sisters. Sit down again, Harry, and Dorian, don't move about too much. Her listening to what Lord Henry says. He has a very bad influence over all his friends. Dorian Gray stood while Hallward finished his portrait. He liked what he had seen of Lord Henry. He was so different to Basil, and he had such a beautiful voice. After a few moments he said to him, are you really a very bad influence, Lord Henry, as a bad Basil says? Influence is always bad. Why? Because to influence someone is to give me the you saw. Each person must have his own personality. Turn your head a little more to right, Dorian, said the painter. He was not listening to the conversation and only knew that there was a new look on the boy's face. And yet, continued Lord Henry, in this low musical voice, I believe that I one man lived in his life fully and completely he could change the world. He would be a work of art greater than anything we have ever imagined. But he braces Mount who is afraid of himself. You, Mr. Grey, are very young, but you have had passions that have made you afraid dreams. Stop, cried Dorian Gray. I don't understand what are you saying. I need to think. For nearly 10 minutes he stood with his lips open and his eyes strangely blind. The words that Basil had spoken had touched his soul. There had been things in this boyhood what he had no understand. With a smile Lord Henry watched him. He knew the exact effect of word the boy. How fascinating the boy was! Howard continued painting and did not notice that the others were silent. Basil, I am tired, cried Dorian Gray. Suddenly, I must go to and see to the garden. There is not air on here. My dear boy, I'm sorry when I paint my work, it's all I can think about. But you never said better. You don't know what Harry has been saying to you. But there is wonderful bright look in your eyes. I suppose he was being flirting too. You shouldn't believe a word he says. He has centrally no bit flirting me, perhaps. Then that's why I don't believe anything he has told me. You know, you believe it all, said Lord Henry. Look, look at him in his dreamy eyes. I will go to the garden with you. It's horribly hot in this room. Don't keep Dorian too long, said the painter. This is going to best my painting. Lord Henry went out to the garden and found Dorian Gray holding a flower on his face. He came close to him and put his head on his shoulder. Dorian Gray, frowning, turned away. He liked the tall young man who was standing by him. His dark, romantic face interested him. There was something in loud music voices that was fascinating, but he felt a little afraid. Why was this stranger having a strong influence on him like this? He had known Basil Hallward for months, but his friendship between them had not changed him. Suddenly, some had come into his life and turned it upside down. Someone who seemed to have the key to mystery of life itself. So this is of my I read. This book is really interesting, and when um, I see this book, I'm in love because it's like it's your maybe not your life, but maybe it's your if you want, and it's really good too if you want to see the real people or real wishes, and maybe your wishes on this book. And this is all. If you enjoy this, I know my pronunciation is not better, but or good or perfect, but I'm trying. um, I think my pronunciation is better when I'm talking without read. So maybe yeah. So thank you for listening this video and watching this. And my name is Alejandra, and nice to meet you.